Good.
I just did a video on the problem facing modern Orthodox Jews, most of the problems caused by Ashkenazim and Hasidim. My name is Rabbi Jacob Feuerwerker. I will now attempt to give my answer to it, which is something I've really been thinking about even before I became Orthodox. I've been really thinking about this issue, oh my God, for close to 50 years, when I was first commercial fishing on Lake Erie. And what can I say? There's very little that most Orthodox Jews are willing to do, because most want to live near a synagogue, which means many are living in big cities, or first or second ring suburbs of big cities, and in many cases they're paying outrageous real estate taxes. I mean, some as much as 10%, 12% every year on their real estate, while still paying high city and state income taxes. And they're really being put on a squeeze between their taxes, which a few years ago were not really that high, especially here in the Cleveland, Ohio area. I know one man in a synagogue I sometimes frequent, especially in the summer. The man is a little bit older than I am. He bought his house in 1974. At that time, property taxes were relatively high here in Cleveland. Property values were relatively high here in Cleveland compared to a few years prior. And his taxes, mortgage, interest, and insurance, which he all paid through the mortgage bank, were approximately $250 a month. When he sold his house in 2010, let me backtrack, 2008, at that time, just before he sold his house, everything was paid for, and he was combining his auto insurance with his house insurance. So just his real estate taxes were almost $500 a month. The house itself at the most was worth $120,000, he ended up selling it for $110,000. The assessor from Cuyahoga County assessed it at $120,000, so it went a little bit below assessment at that time. And this was just before the crash of property values here in Ohio and nationwide. He was paying $500 a month. That translates to $6,000 a year. $6,000 a year in a house that's worth $100,000 or $110,000 translates to 5.5% of the property value. That is outrageous. There are parts in this country where real estate taxes, I take it back, where sales taxes are lower than here, income taxes are lower than here, and on a $100,000 house, you pay maybe $500 a year in real estate taxes. In some places even less. There's a place in Arkansas called Mulberry, where on a $100,000 house you might pay $200 a year in real estate taxes. So do Orthodox Jews really need such an abuse? What is the answer? The answer is for Orthodox Jews to get together, a various mix, move to areas where the taxes are low. Even if services are low, we can provide services to each other. And then purchase over there, have a rabbi, pay a rabbi, and here, you got a synagogue, the families combine together and you have a day school, Most Jewish women are educated well enough to part-time work in a day school and teach their children. Today there's learning by computer, so children could learn off campus, and they could probably get a better education than they could get in such places as the Hebrew Academy, or most of those. And most of the girls are dressing today like they belong in 18th century Saudi Arabia. It's a shada and a cherpa. What are they trying to turn us into? And these are the Ashkenazim. What in heaven's name are they trying to turn us into? And also it is healthier to eat within 50 miles of where you live at least 95% of what you put in your mouth. Therefore, why can't we do like we did at the turn of the previous century? Are we that effeminate that we can't get our hands dirty raising our own livestock and our own poultry? Are we that effeminate that we can't raise our own fish? There's a process called aquaponic where you could grow fish and vegetables in the same space, and if you do it properly, on 500 square feet of land, you could raise 4 or 5 tons of food a year. This way you're both ecologically sound and economically sound. What is wrong with that? Please, anybody tell me what is wrong with that? And it's very easy to organize for such things. Jews did it when they came to this country, and a man called Lyndon Johnson, who was a Democrat, who stood up to Franklin Roosevelt, who did not want Jews coming into this country. But Lyndon Baines Johnson, who later on became our president, stood up to that man and secretly brought in Jews into different smaller ports in Texas and settled them in farming community. And in a few places in Texas, there's still Jewish farming communities in Texas and in Kansas. They used to be in Nebraska, but they're no longer there. There are Jewish farming communities, and then to be close to each other for Shabbat and holidays, they bought or rented sections of cities and were together instead of being far apart. What is wrong with that? You know, there's lessons from the past that we've forgotten that we should relearn. A few years ago, I took a test on Facebook, am I as skillful as on the same knowledges and skill that my grandfather and great-grandfather were? And they had about 50 questions that I answered. And it turned out that in my skill experience, I knew approximately what to do and how to do it on about 85% of what my grandfather and great-grandfather do. How many Jews my age could take such a test and get such a score? Because today many Jews believe in not getting their hand dirty. What is wrong with getting your hand dirty? My father, even when I was a little child still in Israel, 6, 7 years old, taught me how to get my hand dirty. We grew our own poultry until General Dayan, when he became Minister of Agriculture, prohibited us from having our own poultry. We processed our own poultry in those days. Sometimes we'd go to the live market and have the local rabbi shecht the chicken or turkey or duck or geese we bought and processed it ourselves. And my father taught me how to solder, even with a crucible furnace, how to do soldering with a rod and a crucible furnace, how to do whip lead with a rod and a crucible furnace, not with modern torch techniques that they use today. I learned all those skills. My father made sure I learned them. And that's to his great credit. He made sure that I knew the skill that people not only in the early part of the 20th century knew, but also in most of the 18th century knew. And we need to hearken back to learn those skills ourselves. As I said in my previous video, how many Jewish housewives under the age of 35 know how to kosher a chicken? Or even simpler, how to kosher a chunk of beef, of dead meat that is already traded by the butcher shop. How many know how to do that? So I suggest anybody who's interested in such a project, please contact me either on Facebook Messenger or on my phone. Please no text, 216-385-8611. Anybody interested in making donation, in my post office, in my box, in my mailbox, which is 13816 Cedar Road, Box 302, South Euclid, Ohio, 44118, USA. Thank you very much for listening.